Trey Coordinator of Student Athlete Success at Anne Arundel Community College. Today, we're going to be discussing a life skill which is useful to all students, but one that I most importantly teach to my student athletes: how to write a proper email. We understand that on a constant basis, students have requests and needs that they need to communicate with their professor. Most of the time, students like to try to have someone advocate on their behalf, and I most certainly always advocate for my students, but more importantly, I teach my student athletes how to advocate for themselves. So the first thing to do to help them get there is to teach them how to write a proper email. So today, I'm going to teach you a form of a proper email to send to a professor to kind of make the necessary requests for you as a student athlete to be successful. Okay, so first, when writing an email to a professor, you want to be sure to address them properly. Start everything off in the right tone. So you can simply write a word professor, or you can say Professor Anderson, Dr. Anderson. So some way to give them a formal greeting, so that way they understand that you respect who you're making a request to. So I want to just start off here with Professor. Keep it kind of short. Like I said, you can always fill it in with a name. Maybe it's Doctor. If they address themselves as Doctor the first day of class, that's also a good form. I know a lot of times students on there, they assume that every professor is a doctor, but the safest way to give them all that proper respect is addressing them by Professor. Okay, so then you want to go ahead and you want to kind of state the purpose of your request. So, Professor, I would like to know if I could get an extension. Now, like I said, this is just one of many forms and many requests that you would make to a professor. Now, let's say we are talking about an extension request. You don't just want to say, I would like to know if I could get an extension. What you're really wanting to do is to say, I'm trying to get an extension and this is why. So I would like to know if I could get an extension. So let's just say something personal happened. Due to a family emergency. Now, I'm going to stop right there, because as much as we want to get all the information, sometimes some of the information is just too personal to give out. So a lot of times we kind of keep it common, such as a family emergency, a personal matter, and you kind of want to then go into, well, how it affected you. So, due to a family emergency, the last, let's say, 3 days has restricted me access to my computer and work. Now, again, some professors may ask you to go into detail, but sometimes this is just enough information for a professor to want to kind of say, okay, I'll give you an opportunity. So, Professor, I would like to know if I get an extension. Due to a family emergency, the last 3 days has restricted me access to my computer and work. The reason why that's important is because more than likely, depending if you are a student that does all their work on a computer, your work is on your computer. So if you don't have access to the computer, you also don't have access to the work. Then you kind of want to let them know how you plan to resolve it. So I intend to complete and submit my work within 48 hours. So here's the thing, you haven't had access to your computer for 3 days, okay? So you're about 72 hours behind. Sometimes it's okay to try to ask for the same amount of time for the time that you miss, but show that you actually care a little bit more to want to catch up and get that work done. So 48 hours, cutting it down by an extra day, is showing the professor that you're going to try to take the initiation to give a little bit of more extra time and attention to that work. So again, we're going to start off. Professor, I would like to know if I could get an extension. Due to a family emergency, the last 3 days has restricted me access to my computer and work. I intend to complete and submit work within 48 hours. And then, of course, you kind of want to close it out respectfully. And then you just put your name, Trey, okay? And most professors know exactly what class you're in, who you are, when you put your whole name. I'm sorry, I said Trey. You should put Trey Anderson, so you at least know your whole name, because I'm pretty sure some names are quite common, and you're going to have more than one student sometimes with the same, whether it be first name or last name, in that class. So one last time, Professor, I would like to know if I could get an extension. Due to a family emergency, the last 3 days has restricted me access to my computer and work. I intend to complete and submit my work within 48 hours. Respectfully, Trey Anderson. Now, sometimes you can also add additional information. Let's say this is an English class. You might want to say English 101, section 800, okay? So that way, when they go to their class roster, depending on how many classes the professor's teaching, they can know amongst the 1, 2, maybe 5 sections where you fall into, because some professors not only teach face-to-face, they also have online classes. That's a lot of work and a lot of students. At bare minimum, maybe about 20 students. So you're looking at 100 students that you're responsible for, making sure all their work gets completed, especially when it's time for research papers and things of that sort. That can be a lot of work for a professor. So they're trying to do everything they can to prioritize. Mind you, you may not be the only student making this kind of request. Okay, so the better the request, the better the information, the more likely you are to get an extension or whatever other request you need. Now, again, this is not a guarantee, but this is a way to show the professor that, hey, I'm taking the time out to reach out to you. I understand I'm a little behind, but this is what I'm going to do. This is what I need. I apologize for the inconvenience, and so forth. So, again, this is how you want to address the professor. In a request, there's many different requests you can make. Obviously, extensions being one of them. Maybe you want to make a request to change sections. So maybe it's the same professor, just different section due to time. It could be maybe you want to change a different professor altogether. So in that regard, you would change this from professor to maybe the assistant dean or a department chair. So, it's just different things that you want to play off of. But this is just one of many forms. I just wanted to kind of give a little life skill lesson to my student athletes and any student that takes the time to watch the video. And hopefully that you find this useful. And again, go Riverhawks!